Pizza NFL Live Halftime Report, brought to you by Domino's Pizza. When it's gotta be good and it's gotta be now, it's gotta be Domino's.
And welcome, everyone, to our studio here in New York. Greg Gumbel, Mike Ditka, Joe Gibbs. Those of you watching the Jets-Buffalo game will be immensely interested in what's happening at Joe Robbie Stadium between the Dolphins and the New England Patriots. And we'll show you. This game is a 14-7 New England lead in the second quarter. Quarterback Dan Marino entering Joe Robbie Stadium, trying to come back from the ruptured Achilles tendon. His pass off the hands of Keith Byers. Dwayne Sabb picks it off. Stepped out of bounds at the 9-yard line, and with his mistake, Dan Marino's not at all pleased, but he made up for it a little bit later. Watch this strike. In the mud, out of the mud. To Mark Ingram in full stride, 64 yards and a touchdown. Marino's 299th career touchdown to tie the game at 7. But just before halftime, Drew Bledsoe to Ben Coates. Great catch in the corner of the end zone with 25 seconds remaining to give New England a 14-7 lead at halftime. At Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, the Cowboys and the Steelers are in the second quarter, and Dallas leads this one by a score of 13-3. A couple of Chris Bonio field goals, and Gary Anderson has a field goal for Pittsburgh. Darrell Johnson, 21-yard touchdown for the Dallas Cowboys, who lead it 13-3. The game that you're watching, the Jets and the Bills, New York leads at 17-3 at halftime. You know, I've thought the world of Pete Carroll as a defensive coordinator. He apparently has the ability to inspire this Jets team.
Well, I'll tell you, the players are playing awfully well in this football game. Pete's done a great job, but the players are doing the job. They're doing the things they have to do on offense and defense. But the main thing, their defense is playing very well.
And there's a history of losing to the Bills, too, Joe.
And a tough place playing up there. I tell you what, I'm surprised by this. Well, we got to see what happens in the second half.
17-3 is the score. Boomer Esiason, 9 of 16, 148 yards so far in the game. And in Anaheim, the Rams hosting the Arizona Cardinals and leading the Cardinals in the second quarter. 7-3 is the score there. Todd Light, a 74-yard fumble recovery for the only touchdown of the game. Greg Davis, a 37-yard field goal for Arizona. We've got plenty of highlights from the early games. We'll get to those right after these words from your local station.
Gotta be Domino's.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's run down the scores now for you from action earlier in the day, beginning with the Chiefs' visit to the New Orleans Saints in the Superdome, and Marty Schottenheimer got himself career victory number 100. Big game for both Joe Montana and Marcus Allen. Montana to Willie Davis for an 11-yard touchdown here in the first quarter. Montana 315 yards and 2 TDs on the day. And then in the second quarter, it was Allen on a 1-yard touchdown run. He carried 17 times for 82 yards. It was a 14-0 Chiefs lead. In the fourth quarter, defensive end Neil Smith with the deflection and interception of Jim Everett's pass. He returns 41 yards to set up the Saints' final touchdown. Kansas City won it by a 30-17 score. We told you Montana's numbers. Marcus Allen, 82 yards and a touchdown rushing. Jim Everett, 26 of 37, 326 yards. But obviously, guys, Everett had to throw being behind from early on in the ball game. And you've got to hand it to those veterans for Kansas City. They did the job.
Well, they had an outstanding game, but I think a lot has to do with New Orleans. You know, they really lost a lot of their defense. They've gone a kind of an offensive philosophy. They'll throw the ball. They'll probably be a lot more successful on offense, but they don't have the defense anymore. They don't have that intimidating defense that you fear, and that's going to be a problem for them all year.
That was the best half that we saw, the first half by Kansas City. That's the best all-around half in football today that we saw, and I think it was tough for New Orleans to bounce back from that.
If they were looking for a way to establish themselves as a Super Bowl contender, the Chiefs found it today, 30-17 the final. At the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, the Giants over the Philadelphia Eagles today, 28-23. Rookie quarterback Dave Brown, pretty good afternoon, as did all-purpose back Dave Meggett. On special teams, he excelled, recovered a fumble, and returned this punt 68 yards for the score. The 5th time in his career he has returned a punt for a touchdown. Giants led by a score of 14-0. In the third quarter, Meggett turned in this spectacular run. Behind perfect blocking, Giants beat the Eagles 28-23. The numbers on the afternoon for this game tell the story. Randall Cunningham, 344 yards and 2 touchdowns, but his Eagles came up short. Dave Brown, 10 of 20, 171 yards. Sounds typical of a New York Giant quarterback. And Dave Meggett, a couple of touchdowns as the Giants go 1-0 on the year. At Indianapolis, the Colts got the most out of their rookie running back, Marshall Faulk, as they beat the Oilers 45-21. The number 2 pick overall in the NFL draft. Here is his first career touchdown from 2 yards out. Indianapolis leads it 7-0. The Colts continued to capitalize on Oiler turnovers today. Falk got his second of the half over the top from 2 yards out, 35-0 Indy. And then in the third, 11 yards to the end zone. His third of the day, and Marshall Falk just chalks up the yardage, 143 in all, 3 touchdowns. Jim Harbaugh, 105 yards, and the Houston Oilers really showed some wear and tear and some signs that they are not going to be the force that they've been the last couple of years, Joe.
Well, we talked about the big trade. Hey, when Moon leaves, Cody's got to step in. Not only they don't get the job done today, but he also gets hurt.
All right, and the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field today, a winner over the Minnesota Vikings, 16-10, the final score in the battle between the two teams that are expected to vie for the title in the NFC Central. Warren Moon suffering from a sty in his eye that blurred his vision. His first pass is a Viking off the hands of Quadri Ismail, picked off by George Teague. Teague had 2 interceptions today. This led to a Chris Jackie field goal and a 3-0 Green Bay lead. Sterling Sharp rejoined his teammates after threatening to sit out today's opener and was on the receiving end of this 14-yard scoring strike from Brett Favre. Packers beat the Vikings for the first time since 1991. The final at Lambeau Field, 16-10 Green Bay. Moon, 12 completions in 37 attempts for 166 yards and intercepted 3 times, Mike.
Well, you know, maybe the change of pace is not going to help him up there, but I think Warren Moon's a good football player and he'll settle in. I think the thing that's impressive is Favre didn't throw any interceptions today. He had 1 turnover on a fumble, but I think the Packers did enough to win, and they did enough in a very hectic week with the Sharp situation